previously, but he yields back anyway. Ms. Hartzler for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm hearing a lot about an issue that directly impacts the folks back home with some of the rules that have been being proposed. We've heard from farmers and ranchers and small to medium-sized future commission merchants strongly opposing the CFTC's proposed rules that were supposedly designed to improve customer protections. Instead, many of them say the new proposals would profoundly increase their costs and potentially threaten their existence. If the proposed rules are implemented as currently drafted, FCMs must hold enough of their own funds to cover all customer positions at all times of the day, in addition to the farmers and ranchers now having to meet just a one-day margin call. So if this happens, what will happen to the agriculture segment of the futures markets, both from the FCM and from the customer standpoint?
Congresswoman, I appreciate the question. You're referring to the residual interest provision in our customer protection rulemaking that has not been finalized. And it is true that the proposal would have had an effect consistent with what you said. The staff has is preparing a draft and will recommend a different approach on this particular issue, as I understand it, based on our internal dialogues. I think, again, we have to find a balance. The statute does require that customer seg funds should be protected at all times and shouldn't be covered by some other customer's funds. And so that's an important principle we need to have reflected in our rulemakings. But by the same token, what was originally proposed was such a dramatic change from the current practice. We started to hear the same concern that you just raised, which was that many FCMs wouldn't be able to handle that additional expense and might very well go out of business. And these tend to be the ones that provide services to the hedgers back in places like Iowa, where I'm from, and back in your district. Yeah. So I'm eager to take a look at what the staff recommends and to ensure that it finds the right balance.
Yes, Commissioner.
I share your concerns. I think I share the same concerns that Commissioner Wiegand does. It's a balance, and we have to be very careful with this. We do not want to put these FCMs in a position that they can't serve their customers, or the customers can't afford to hedge their risk. So I haven't received the same staff briefing and with the commitment that they're coming up with a different approach. So I'll carefully evaluate it when it comes before the Commission. But this is a top priority for that rule. So thank you for the question.
You bet. I'm from Missouri, mainly rural district, and so this is important to us. I'm just curious about the draft. Now, was it dealing with the FCM's requirements, or was it dealing with the farmer's one-day margin, or both?
Well, I think the rule changes the way FCMs hold the money, and therefore the commitments that it changes the interpretation of what we'd historically been relying on in the past, and that would change how much farmers and ranchers would have to put up to meet that demand, and reduces the FCM's flexibility to extend the credit to their customers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd say a little bit differently. Where we land will have to be informed by how quickly the FCM can actually collect additional margin from a customer, and how quickly margin is provided by some users is different from how much time it takes with others. And again, we'll have to make sure the proper balance is struck in the final rule.
I'm encouraged to hear that you're listening and trying to weigh in, because the average farmer relies on their local FCM, and I would hate to see the rule so onerous that it puts them out of business or makes it too difficult for the local farmer to be able to hedge their risk, because that's a very big part of their marketing plan. So thank you for your response, and I yield back.